Hey guys, Mr. Veld here. It's Tuesday morning. I hope you had a nice weekend. Make a quick video today on greatest common factor and least common multiple. Give you a couple different ways to figure these out, and have a little short assignment for you on Google Classroom, which would be a Google slide, which you go through and you can put your answers in there, and I will be able to see them. Try to keep this under 10 minutes or so. And if you have to stop it and replay it, feel free to do so. So the first thing we're going to talk about today is greatest common factor. Okay. We all know what greatest means, right? It's the largest, the greatest value. Common means the same, right? And factor, some of you may know, some of you may not. A factor is basically any two numbers multiplied together to give you another number. So if you have, for example, if I have 3 times 5 equals 15, what are my factors in that particular equation? Well, 3 times 5, 3 and 5 would be my factors, right? So when we try to find the greatest common factor, okay, when you see that, when you hear greatest common factor, you're looking at basically comparing two numbers and looking at their factors, finding which ones they have in common, and deciding which one has the greatest value, right? So we'll look at 12 and 15, right? So when I do it this way, when I make a list, let's start with 12. So when I make a list like this, I always start with 1 and the number, because every number has at least two factors, right? 1 in itself. Now, if the number only has two factors, 1 in itself, then we consider those to be prime numbers, right? If they have more than those factors, they are considered composite numbers. So 12 is a composite number, has more than two factors. We know it has 1 and 12, so 1 times 12 is 12. So I like to just start with 1 and move up the line. So is 2 a factor of 12? Well, I know 12 is an even number, and all even numbers are going to have 2 as a factor, right? So what times 2 equals 12? Well, we all know that's 6. Keep going. 3. If we multiply something by 3 to get 12, yeah, and that's 4. And we know 5 is not a factor, and we're at 6. So we know these are our factors: 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, and 12. So let's look at 15. Just do the same thing. 1 and 15. 2, no. Is 3 a factor of 15? Can we multiply something by 3 to get 15? We sure can, and that is 5. Anything else? 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, nope. So factors of 15 are 1, 3, 5, and 15. So now we look at common factors. Okay? Well, 1, 3, and that's it. So we know our greatest common factor of 12 and 15, the largest one is 3. Okay? Another way to do this, give me a second here, I'm going to erase this. Another way to do this would be to use what we call a factor tree. Okay? I like this method better, just because it's a little bit more efficient, a little quicker. So let's choose two other numbers, 12 and let's choose 18. So to make this factor tree, okay, we're going to take 12. We're going to do this. That's our tree part of it. We're going to think of two numbers that we multiply together to get 12. And let's choose about 6 and 2. Okay. Now we look to see if we can break these two numbers down any further. Okay. And can we break 6 down any further? Yeah. Does it have factors? Yes. We go 2 and 3. And once we get to this point where the only factors, basically we're getting here to the numbers down here are all prime. So that means the only factors it has is 1 in itself, right? So we're going to leave that put for right now, okay? We're going to move to 18, okay? So let's think of two numbers multiplied together equal to 18, 9, and 2. Again, can't break 2 down any further. Excuse me. We can break 3 down further, and that is 3 and 3, right? So again, we look at this and we say, what do they have in common? Okay, well, they each have a 2, right? They each have 1, 3, right? So those are the numbers they have in common, right? So to find the greatest common factor, we would take 2 times 3, that equals 6. So our greatest common factor between 12 and 18 is 6. So that's another method to use to find greatest common factor. All right, now we're going to talk about least common multiple, okay? And let's break this down. We know that least is the lowest value. Common, again, like we talked about with the greatest common factor, is what they have in common, what they have the same. And multiple would be, when we look at multiples, we basically look at any number times a whole number, right? It gives you a multiple. So if we're listing the multiples of 7, for example, when I'm listing the multiples of 7, I would just take 7 times 1, 7 times 2, 7 times 3, 7 times 4, 7 times 5, 7 times 6, and so on, right? And then if I'm listing the multiples of, let's say, 6, 12, 18, 24, 30, 36, 42. So if I'm trying to find the least common multiple between 7 and 6, then I would just look at my list here, and I would say, well, that is 42. Okay, the number that is, excuse me, the number that is in common and has the lowest value, right? Just like we did with the greatest common multiple, greatest common factor, we can use a factor tree. And this is more commonly referred to as prime factorization. And I'll show you that real quick. So if I have 14 and 21, right? I'm going to try to break these numbers down. Well, let's think of two numbers that multiply together equal 14. 7 and 2. Now, can I break either of these numbers down any further? 7 is a prime number, because the only factors I have is 7 in itself. 2 is the same. 21. How about that? 7 and 3. So to find the least common multiple, okay, what I do is I look at the ones the numbers that I have in common, right, which are 7, just 7, right? So I'm only going to use that. Here's the difference. I'm only going to use the 7 one time. So to find the least common multiple, I'm going to take all the other numbers I have down here on this list, right? I'm going to take 2 times 3 times 7. And since I have them in common, I'm only going to use it one time, okay? So 2 times 3 is 6. 6 times 7 is 42, okay? That is a quick, very quick lesson on least common multiple. Two different methods, one making a list, one doing the factor tree. Whatever you feel is comfortable with. Me personally, like the factor trees. I know most kids, when they're starting out on this, tend to like the lists. When you get more proficient and better at this, I think the factor trees are quicker, a quicker and easy way to get to the final answer. And sometimes if you don't feel as comfortable with doing those, making the list is a little bit better method. If you have any questions, shoot me an email, and good luck on your assignment. It's not very long. It's maybe 10 questions, I think. It should not take you that long. And shoot me an email if you have questions. Take care. Have a good day. Bye.